What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the sixth installment of Wrestling Hypothesis Extra, the secondary show of the Wrestling Hypothesis podcast for your Wednesday, August 26th, 2020. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm the A.B.A, of course, and joining me this week is individually King Kenny.
Yep. Just me. And then there were two, right?
Kenny, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hello? Yep, and then there were two. That's right. We'll be taking on the workload for Extra this week, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
another day and another dollar, I guess. Oh shoot.
Froze on there. All right, let's do it. So before we get started with the show, as always, guys, I gotta mention this to you. If you're watching this via YouTube, which is the only way you're watching, you must be watching this because we're not available anywhere else. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on the series whenever we decide to drop anytime throughout the week. So if you haven't done so already, you can check out episode 32 that we posted just this past week, or really any of our older episodes in the archives using any of the platforms we are available on, as well as visiting our own website, anchor.fm/wrestling-hypothesis. First things first, SummerSlam weekend has officially come and gone with NXT TakeOver 30 and SummerSlam itself occurring with no shortage of events unfolding over there. We're going to start things off with TakeOver, which I thought it was a pretty good show overall. Not the best TakeOver event I've ever seen, but I would say it was a step up from TakeOver in Your House back in June. Would you agree with that?
I really didn't pay attention to In Your House. So for me,
I guess I think that by default makes it better because this just grabbed our interest more.
Right. It did. And I have to say, I mean, aside from the underwhelming main event, I think they really did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would say so too. Although I don't know about the main event being a bit underwhelming. I did go back and watch the match. I didn't think it was that bad. I actually thought it was pretty good with the psychology throughout. But that's cool. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I get it. It was kind of slow to build. But we'll touch on that a little bit more when we get to that. First things first, Finn Balor beat Timothy Thatcher in the opener. I thought they had a solid match. Those two did. Damian Priest won the North American title ladder match to become the new North American champion. That was honestly my match of the night. Great match, great showing for everyone. A lot of insane bumps were taken throughout, especially that one spot where Velveteen Dream was on top of the ladder and was tipped off by Bronson Reed, I believe. And he flew over the ring and the barricade and crashed right onto a table on the outside. I'm sure a lot of people were happy to see that spot to Velveteen Dream of all people, considering the controversy surrounding him right now. But yeah, Damian wins. Right outcome there. I'm happy for the guy. It seemed like this was his time to shine here.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great win. And the right person won. So, I mean, that's all I have to say about that match.
Yeah. After that, we had Pat McAfee. Looked pretty damn good in his match with Adam Cole. Honestly, it will go down as one of the better wrestler-celebrity matches in wrestling history. Safe to say. He showed incredible agility throughout, but Adam Cole wins in the end, as he should have. And, well, I don't know if we're going to get to see Pat McAfee in the ring once again, but anytime soon. But for this one particular match, he knocked it out of the park, I will say.
Yeah, exactly. Put respect on his name, man. Put some respect on, and I'm glad you were there to watch it with me because it was nothing short of spectacular, at least from the standpoint of Pat McAfee. And that's what I was trying to tell you weeks ago. But I mean, to your credit, you didn't know who Pat was. So I guess, you had to hang on because there's really nothing to, hang your hat to. But I knew this coming in that Pat was going to be great, and he proved that.
No, he definitely did. That's true. I don't know. And I guess if nothing else, it was just like looking back on WWE's history with using their celebrities and just putting them over the other wrestlers and just not really accomplishing much towards that. So History was really not on your side in that argument. But hey, Pat McAfee was the exception there.
That's true, but this is what separates the good from the great. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like in some cases, history will not be on my side. Okay, but if I know, like, if I have evidence to the contrary, right? Like you kind of have to like see it coming from a mile away. Like Pat McAfee isn't like just any basic uh celebrity that just comes in and wants to like you can genuinely see that he actually gives a fuck. Like that was the deciding factor in why this match was good, actually good, at least from a celebrity wrestler standpoint. Like you can see that Pat McAfee actually cares about being in the ring, and that was a difference maker. And that's the only reason why I said what I said, why I predicted what I predicted. That was the only reason. It wasn't for anything else. It wasn't because of the history. It was just that he cared about actually doing something in the ring.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. Yeah, he did his job and then some with that. But Adam Cole won in the end, like I said, as he should have. So I don't know if what the future holds for Pat McAfee or really Adam Cole, but that's to a lesser extent because we know at least he'll be ongoing with some wrestling storyline, whether it's on NXT still or on the main roster. So we'll see. Io Shirai retained her women's title from Dakota Kai in a pretty damn good match, I should say. It was definitely a showing that the women needed at this time. They're clearly doing something with Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley, which I really don't care for much, but we'll see how that transpires. If nothing else, I could see the next title feud being Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley, unless they maybe just want to throw in Dakota Kai, but who knows?
Yeah, I really didn't care much for this match. I mean, Io winning, big whoop, right? I just needed to I just believe right now they're still in the feeling out process, I guess,
Right.
so to say,
Yeah.
of her title reign. So like there's like she doesn't have her Rock or Austin or Michaels yet. Like she doesn't have that defining defining feud that would really put her on the map. So I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, I think we all are at this point because it just seems like, and it seems like they're in a transitioning process, but it seems like that with a
Yeah.
lot of like different divisions out there.
Right, exactly. Like it seems like the whole, NXT brand is in a transitional process, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
when you're in a transitional process like that, it creates opportunities for transitional champions. You know what I mean? So,
That's right.
and that's what you saw with Keith Lee. But with Io, I hope that's not the case. I hope she's not a transitional champion because it'd definitely be very disappointing.
Yeah, what definitely someone with the caliber of and talents that Io Shirai possesses, one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet today. Just yeah, it would be a disgrace to do something like that to Shirai. So hopefully that's not the route they're going with, but we'll see. And Karrion Kross beat Keith Lee in the main event to win the NXT Championship. They had, I thought at least, a very good match filled with plenty of psychology throughout as Kross was targeting Lee's left arm throughout the match. Lots of power moves and strikes throughout. Keith Lee lost the title due to his own judgment as he wanted to hoist Kross on the top turnbuckle and wanted to do something there. But Kross hit the Doomsday Seattle suplex from the second rope, and that was it right there. And Karrion Kross won the title. We knew going into this that Karrion Kross would retrieve the title from Keith Lee. It wasn't a huge surprise or anything. Like I said before, like all of us said before on the show previously, it is a big shame that they did Keith Lee dirty like this, but that was just the way it was going.
I actually don't think they did him dirty, bro. I actually think this was the right move given the circumstances that they've booked themselves in. You had nowhere to go. Like it would have made no sense had Keith Lee retained because you would have been stunting the growth of Karrion Kross. And I'm not really I don't really like Karrion Kross like that. But you've booked him in a way that makes everybody looks bad. So
Yeah,
you got to cash in. Like you have to follow through. You know what I mean? So
I can see
you know,
that. Yeah.
at the end of the day, this was the right move, regardless of whether or not it was the best move, right? Or if this was the right one. So from Keith Lee, and from Keith Lee's standpoint, Keith Lee, man, he's gonna go to the main roster. He's gonna, hopefully do some great things there. But I mean, Karrion Kross was the right guy to win that night.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see. I definitely see where your stance on it. Like they didn't have a whole lot of other legit top contenders for Keith Lee, especially in terms of heels, because it feels like a lot of their main heels are stuck in the mid card or something. Like someone like a Gargano, for example, Roderick Strong. They all seem to be stuck in the mid card. So I guess it just takes time for them to develop and to get back into the thick of things with the main event scene. So I could definitely see that. But hey,
Yeah.
they did, like you mentioned, they did Keith Lee. I don't think they did Keith Lee all that dirty. Like considering what they ended up, what their plans were for him just after SummerSlam weekend with Monday Night Raw and his debut there. Confronting Randy Orton,
Yeah.
having a huge chance to shine in front of the big leagues, better exposure for him. Had a good showing with Orton, even though it didn't last all that long. So I would
Yeah.
say
I
he
mean,
belonged.
we all knew he belonged. But I think the main thing that I got away from his debut, aside from the fact that they fucking maybe botched his entrance, because I mean, come on, how do you let a guy debut like that without his theme music? Or his ring gear looked like he was still stuck in the Indies. Like what the fuck, you know? But
Right.
But needless to say, his match with Randy Orton is a much bigger deal than any of those, minuscule things. And I love this. Like, I love the fact that he debuted with a guy like Randy Orton, because I mean, there's no bigger star on the roster than Randy right now. So for that reason alone, it shows that they expect great things from him. And like I said last week, this is exactly the type of matches that Keith Lee should be in. Like think about it. On your first night, you're associated with the WWE champion. Like you are in the same, like you are held in the same standard and the same ring as Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Like that to me, man, you're already a made man. This is yours to lose. This is Keith Lee's, opportunity to lose. So I'm glad for his debut, and I expect great things from him.
Yeah, yeah. And Keith Lee and Randy Orton has since been announced to take place at Payback this Sunday night, I believe, this upcoming weekend. So I don't know if I highly doubt Keith Lee's actually going to come out on top there, but maybe he doesn't necessarily need to.
Right.
If
He
he has a
doesn't
good showing
necessarily
against
need
Orton.
to. He doesn't necessarily need to. I think part of being great is being able to uh, showcase your greatness with other great stars, right? So in this case, win or lose for Keith Lee, man, like you already made. Like you're not going. There's no way in hell that Keith Lee goes from fighting Randy Orton one night, to Titus Catering, next week. You know what I mean? Like that like that's not going to happen. I mean, we've seen that happen before, but for him, right? He's still new, right? So, and he's been there before. Like he's been on the main roster before, And the good thing is that guys like Roman Reigns are there now. Like guys like Drew is there now. Like he's friends with these guys. Like he knows these guys. So they're gonna be there to help him along and hopefully lead him down the right path, because Keith Lee can absolutely be one of the biggest stars they have. It's so fucking difficult to fuck Keith Lee up. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like with all the talent that he has at that size, we have never seen anything like him before. He literally gives you a premium at everything, better than any other big man ever before.
Right.
So there's nothing that you can do to, mess him up. The only thing you can do to mess him up is by not showcasing him in the ring. And why would you not do that? You know what I mean? Like that's what
Because it's WWE we're dealing with here.
Right. I understand that. I definitely do. But in terms of what he brings, in terms of his size and athleticism, you can't like there's nothing you can do to keep a man like that down. I'm sorry. Like it's just to me, he's already a made man. He's already a made man.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that part, but I wouldn't put anything past this company, seeing as how they've been booking a lot of their and handling a lot of talents that are as versatile as Keith Lee, someone who could bring so much to the table and become a legit main event star for them,
Right.
And make millions.
I mean, you can look
and have them make millions for them.
You're right. Like you can look at Ricochet and say, he was one of those guys, right? But guess what? Ricochet is not 350 pounds.
No, I get that.
You know what I mean? And like think about it. If Ricochet was 350 pounds and can do the shit that he can still do, you know what I mean? But like there are levels to this. Like for me, I'm not saying that the Keith Lee is on another level as Ricochet. I'm saying he can do what Ricochet can do, right? And still be a monstrosity of a superstar. So like for me, that's something that you can't teach. It's something that you can't replicate. Like it will never be done, So for me, like he's just like a hybrid of every single big man plus plus having the agility of a guy like Rey Mysterio or Ricochet. Like that to me, man, that's something that you can't teach that, man. I'm sorry. That's money.
Yeah. And so that was Takeover. Again, like I said, pretty good show overall. And now we're going to move things right along to SummerSlam the night after. And I thought it was a good show overall as well. There was less to like than the Takeover show, but honestly, that's a given considering the history of those main roster Takeover, NXT Takeover weekends where they go where they're back-to-back nights hosted. So it's no surprise at all. But hey, SummerSlam was still a good show overall. There was some things to like. Not a whole lot, but there were some things to like. Just some quick takeaways that we're going to give off here. We're not going to go into every single result because honestly, that would kind of be a waste. So just some quick takeaways. Asuka won the Raw Women's title back from Sasha Banks in a pretty damn good match, as I predicted. This will definitely bring back tensions between her and Bayley to further that storyline, who did retain her title earlier on from Asuka. Others, we got Mandy Rose beating Sonya Deville in their loser leaves WWE bout, which was also expected, seeing as how Sonya needed the time off after recent events transpired in her personal life. And new details have emerged from that whole story, and it is really disgusting. The guy was a complete psychopath. How can you call this guy a legit fan? How he thinks he's a fan if he's just, wanting to kidnap her and just send her messages of death threats towards her and Mandy Rose. It's really disgusting and ridiculous. Like, I don't blame her at all for wanting time off, and all the best to her on that. I hope she recovers well on that.
Yeah, man. Like that whole thing is just fucking disgusting, man. Like I no words, bro. No words.
Yep. But moving right along here, though he ultimately lost, Dominic Mysterio had a great showing against Seth Rollins. Hung in there with him for most of the match. Rey Mysterio was at ringside helping Dominic fend off Buddy Murphy throughout. In the end, though, Rollins won with the curb stomp. Obviously, this is not the last we're going to see of Dominic. So, as we've seen literally the next night on Raw, which he teamed up with his father to fight Rollins and Buddy Murphy. And he had another good showing there. So, actually, I'm quite looking forward to what they got going on with him and for him to showcase his true abilities.
Yeah, I mean, dude looked like a kid on his first day of school,
Yeah.
I mean, what more can I say? Great job. Maybe they can go out for
he's
ice
only going to
cream
get better.
after. Maybe they can go out after, for ice cream later or something. I don't know.
Most likely his mom was there too. So That's more likely to be the case. Yeah. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. I got to mention this. Had a great WWE title match. Loved the back and forth with the two. Drew looked like a beast in there with one of the best in the company. And honestly, I didn't mind the finish all that much, which was McIntyre rolling up Orton in a backslide for the win. You know, it's one of those cases where it made sense to do a finish like that if you wanted to really to continue the feud logically and not do a typical DQ or count out ending to upset the fans in any way. So I actually like the way they did that here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna continue the feud, and we're talking about Randy and Drew, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you're gonna go on and continue that feud, yeah, that's the way it goes, you know. And at least, like you said, like what they've been known for to do in the past is just have somebody else interfere, or you know, somebody, you know, or have Randy, or actually no, Drew hit Randy over with a chair to get a DQ win and still keep it like. That to me would have been, you know, oh shit, yeah, well, it's WWE. What do you expect, right? Like we would have had that energy, you know, if that had happened. But this is something different, and I'm glad they did it, man, because this is actually a definitive win. You know, a cheap win, but a win is a win.
Yeah, it's not even a case of him decisively winning. It's just him escaping SummerSlam with the title, and
Right,
that is
exactly.
that is a good reason for Randy Orton to lose his shit, like he literally did, like we saw the next night on Raw.
Yeah,
He punted Drew
yeah.
McIntyre no less than 3 times, for crying out loud. And side note, I hated how they did that storyline, because if you paid attention, Drew McIntyre was freaking moving around, getting up, wasn't even unconscious. He was still functioning after getting hit with 2 back-to-back punt kicks. And he came back and ambushed Randy Orton in his match with Keith Lee, causing the DQ then. I really just did not like that at all. It just devalued the punt kick for me.
They give and then they take. That's
right.
That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. I am in no way, shape, or form mad about what they did. It is definitely typical of them, and you know, you can't expect anything good, you know, because if you do, then it might be good, but then again, you know, they'll fuck it up. So,
and you'll be disappointed.
Yep.
Uh-huh. But like I said, back with the match, I really did enjoy it. I thought probably the best match on SummerSlam. And we had The Fiend winning back the Universal title from Braun Strowman in the main event. I did not want to get into with the match itself. It was pure boredom for me. Afterwards, though, Roman Reigns returned to WWE. Like I was saying, he ambushed both The Fiend and Braun Strowman, hit them with spears and left them laying. Roman looks more jacked up than I've ever seen the dude before. But he was needed back severely. SmackDown was lacking in big names for a long while since WrestleMania. So this was a huge welcome return for WWE and for the fans, because they needed another top star in the company.
Yeah, this was a great move. And I think he's on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is a great move for not only them, but this is a great move for SmackDown in general, I think.
Right.
Just because of the fact that the product has been an eyesore.
Yeah.
And they need somebody to, you know, kick it in the ass, man. Like it needs a good kicking in the ass. So for me, I think this was a good move. I think you got your mic muted there, buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's all right.
Like I was saying, yeah, there's no way WWE are going to mess this up. It's Roman Reigns in the end. So, and they've since announced that it'll be Reigns, Braun Strowman, and The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, in a triple threat, no holds barred match, I believe, at Payback this weekend. So it would not surprise me in the slightest to see Roman Reigns walk out of Payback with that title.
Hey, listen. They've been trying to, like, even when he wasn't there, they've been trying to get the title on him, man. Shoot.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, like, to me, I'd rather him just take the title, because I don't want to see any of those guys hold the title. You know what I mean?
I agree
like,
with
I don't
that. Roman's the best. Roman's the best case scenario for them.
But and that's
Right.
not saying much either. That's not saying that. That's not to say that somebody else doesn't deserve it, but they're not going to give the title to somebody else, you know. So for me, yeah, like that's the best option right now, just because of the two other alternatives that you have to him.
Right. Yeah. Switching things on over to AEW Dynamite that aired on Saturday night. Due to NBA games airing on Wednesday nights in their original time slot on TNT, they promoted Cody defending his TNT title against Brodie Lee of the Dark Order. The match was surprisingly one-sided. Cody barely getting any offense in on Lee as it is, who destroyed him during and after the match. Brodie Lee hit the discus clothesline to win the TNT Championship, ending Cody's 2-month reign with the title. And if anyone should have eventually dethroned Cody and win that title in the end, Brodie Lee is right up there. You can't go wrong with Brodie Lee as a good pick to eventually have dethroned Cody in that TNT title and taken it. So I'm actually good. So good on AEW for going through with that move. And the Dark Order came out and destroyed Cody some more after being carried out on a stretcher, wreaked havoc all over the stage after the show. As the show went off the air, they brought out Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall to ringside and laid them out, as well as Brandy, who was put out by Anna Jay, the female member of the Dark Order. So I'm liking this move. I can't wait to see what Brodie Lee can give us as the champion and show us what he's really made of.
This was a brilliant move. And actually, like it was a squash match too, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I never saw this coming. But I knew Cody was gonna take the L on this one. He had to. Just because one, you're running out of opponents, and two, the level of opponents that he fought every week seemed to get tougher and tougher, to the point of where now you're kind of at an impasse, right? Do you have Brodie, definitively lose to Cody when we all know that Brodie is stronger, better, probably faster than Cody? So come on, I mean, the writing was on the wall here. The right person won, man. Like, and it wasn't much of a match to begin with, which was good.
Yeah,
exactly. I can't
exactly.
believe I'm saying that.
Exactly.
Just good.
Yeah, it just felt like it honestly just felt like the whole thing felt like just more of an angle than a match itself. The squash, and then the fact that him winning the title and the whole beatdown of him and his friends afterwards to end the show, it just felt like one long angle. But like I said, I think it was a brilliant move, and like I said, I can't wait to see what Brodie Lee can offer us as a champion. And now we're hearing reports of Cody looking to take an extended break and a hiatus from AEW and wrestling. This is apparently a way to sell the effects of the brutal beatdown he took at the hands of Brodie Lee and Dark Order at the end of the show there. We are not sure when he is planning on returning at the moment, though it'll probably be for just a few weeks, a month or so. Probably no more so than that time frame. They can go on, honestly, AEW without Cody. One of the great things of the open challenge concept he was doing on the regular was elevating his opponents. So they can use those stars that didn't win the title, such as Jungle Boy, Scorpio Sky, Ricky Starks, which they have been using him as of late. And they have gained a level of momentum to them thanks to having these great showings with Cody over the past few months. So I don't think it's going to be all that big of a loss if he's just going to be gone for like a short period of time.
Well, we really don't know. And it depends on what you mean by short period of time. Like, is it 2 months a short period of time?
I would say, 2 months is not going to be as ideal with my scenario there. But I think a few weeks, a month or so, maybe a little bit more wouldn't be an issue.
Right. My thing is this, though. Because you don't have a ranking system with this title in particular, you're looking at a really, really weird thing here. Because once Cody comes back, right? I mean, does he immediately challenge for it? You know what I'm like? How do you do that? So I'm interested to see what they'll do now, right? Because I don't think Brodie Lee will defend that title every week.
Nah, I doubt it.
Right, exactly. So now you're forced to have this kind of routine, right? Maybe not a routine like a ranking system, but a routine in place to ensure that, you know, this thing actually goes flawlessly, but at least that the right people that should challenge for the title are challenging for the title, right? And you can actually have feuds now with that title to make things more interesting, because I think, you know, I mean, defending the title week in and week out is good, but, you know, there's no sense of direction there. So, you know, I would like, that's what I would like to see with this title change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see as the weeks go by what they have planned for Brodie Lee as champion and how they're gonna be going about naming challengers for him. Whether they're gonna keep the open challenge concept, which I don't think is a great idea at all, but it just doesn't suit a character like Brodie Lee. He's not like a baby face. So
Right.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see who they have lined up for him.
No offense to the roster, but not everyone deserves to face Brodie Lee.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, there are levels to this. You gotta prove your worth. You gotta prove that, you know, you got what it takes. So to me, you gotta earn that shit. And I would like to see some people earn that shit. Give me a tournament or a fatal five-way or whatever the hell you want to give me to determine the number one contender. But don't tell me that, yeah, Brodie's going to give that guy a shot now, because that's not his MO.
Yeah, some of those ideas you mentioned there are far more like appealing to us, like as to who deserves the next title shot against Brodie Lee. So we'll see how they go about that. Moving right along here, Wade Barrett, a name we haven't heard from in a while, has been announced as making his return to WWE television on NXT later tonight as a guest commentator for this upcoming episode this week. Wade Barrett is just another one of those names where you just think, what if? Had it not been for certain events ongoing when Barrett was wrestling in the company 10 years ago. The Nexus was one of the most promising factions we have ever seen in wrestling. They could have been something special, but we all know how that story turned out in the end. And so Barrett was screwed over, and not to mention he was injury prone, always getting hurt. It just never panned out for the guy. Like, it seemed like a case of bad timing with the man.
It just seems like whenever yeah, go on, Abba.
I mean, you were probably going to say the same thing, but it just felt like whenever he was going to go on the ascent, something was in the works for him, like a world title push or a Money in the Bank title win. Then he would just suffer a nasty injury. Yeah. So it was like I said, it was just a case of bad timing throughout with his first run. So I don't know if this will be a way for him to slowly get back into the thick of things in the WWE. I'd imagine that would have to be the case, though, as otherwise I don't know the reasoning behind bringing him back for a guest commentator role on NXT.
Well, because he's been guest commentating, you know, in the Indies, I think with NWA and a few other promotions. So that would be the reason why you bring him in as a guest commentator on NXT. You know, if that's what he wants to do full time, then I think it gives you a premium over some people they have now. You know what I mean? Like Wade Barrett as a commentator, a full-time commentator, I think he's great. He's always been a great talker. He's always been, someone that when he talks, you listen. So to me, this is a great move. He gives you great value at that position. And with Renee Young, this is a big, huge deal. With Renee Young being gone soon, I think acquiring a talent of his level, right, would probably be just as good as Renee. That's just me. That maybe it's only me that's thinking that, but to me personally, he gives you a better value than in some cases Renee Young. So I feel like this is a great move, and if he can sign full time as a commentator with the WWE, it'll be a great thing for them.
I agree with that part. Bold assumption, though, I will say on you saying that Wade Barrett can be as valuable as Renee Young in that, interviewer, that personality role. I mean, I'm not saying that Wade Barrett isn't a good talker. I think he's a very good talker, actually. He can carry his own. He has a personality.
Better than Renee Young.
Listen, I'd have to see that because I'm not really exposed to his work outside of the company.
I see. Well, Well, to be honest, I'm not either. You know, like I haven't seen, you know, him commentate, but but I have seen him comment. Well, I haven't seen him commentate outside of the WWE, but I have seen him commentate inside, and I can tell you definitively that he is a great commentator. He is, and um, and just to you know preface my comments by saying Wade Barrett, when I say Wade Barrett offers you something better than Renee Young, I truly mean that. You know, I mean there are levels to what Renee Young can do and what she can't do, and I feel like Wade is just he's not like in terms of work ethic and in terms of like resume, right? He doesn't have that yet, at least in terms of what he can do commentating wise, but in comparable to when you're comparing him to Renee Young, right? So I feel like that's what it's holding a lot of people back from saying, oh yeah, no, he's not as great. But no, Wade Barrett is just as good, not better than anyone they have right now. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Like if he's not in the wrestling ring, I'd rather, you know, hear him talk about wrestling at the commentator seat, sitting next to Cole and what's his name, Corey Graves. Yeah. So for me, you know, for NXT at least, you know, I think it'll work out very well for them.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this pan out into something special for him. Like he didn't get a fair shake the first time around as a competitor for them. So hopefully this will be the more ideal position for him if he's always getting injury prone, because I don't think he has been wrestling all that much when he left WWE to go to the Indies.
Right.
He's always been in like the authoritative role, like just someone who has the personality.
Exactly. Right. And that's why, you know, it'll fit him perfectly, man, because he has that personality. You know, he has that personality. He has that cachet. He has that, you know, he has that presence. And I think it'll help him out a lot. At least it'll help out any brand that gets him. And I know this is a one-off, but Vince should really consider signing him off full time. And listen, guys, if you watch NXT tonight, you're gonna see exactly what I mean once he starts talking.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And we'll leave it at that for today. Thanks for checking out our 6th edition of Wrestling Hypothesis Extra. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram for any news updates we post on there, as well as any updates on our weekly show and the status of that. We will be back for episode 33 this upcoming Sunday on this weekend. So until then, have a good one, guys. Take care.
Later.